Over the weekend, I finally found some time to finish an open source project that I started around a year ago. But before I show you what I've built, I want to tell you why I've built it. So I've been working with Drupal for about 14, 15 years now, and that's been primarily in the capacity of a backend developer. And while I think it's an amazing framework, amazing project, it's got lots of features and functionalities from a backend perspective. From the front end, I feel like you're left a little bit in the dark. Unless you go full decoupled or sprinkle lots of JavaScript magic, then your user experience is often left feeling a little bit mid 2000s at best. And that's where I think something like Pusher comes into play. So before I talk about the modules that I've built, I'll tell you a little bit about Pusher itself. So Pusher.com is a bidirectional messaging service. It allows you to build real-time, data-driven, rich user experiences without having to worry about any of the infrastructure. It's essentially a WebSocket server in the sky, and you can have a connection between your front end and your back end, or your front end and anywhere really. But in this instance, we're going to stay grounded within Drupal. So, what have I built? I took over the project for Pusher API around a year ago with the idea of turning the implementation into a fully modular ecosystem that you can use what you want to use and you don't have to use what you don't want to use. So what does Pusher API do? Pusher API will allow you to define a set of credentials, a set of configuration credentials to pusher.com. But it also allows you to, or enables you to dispatch messages to Pusher via Drupal's event system. So it's tightly coupled integration with Symfony or Drupal's event system. That allows you, or gives you the set of functionality to be able to dispatch those events without having to worry about any of the connections or any of the channels. It's got a clean interface, public API for dispatching these events. So what happens with those events? Those events are dispatched to a channel ready to be consumed by whatever service or framework is on the other end of it. In our case, we're talking about the Drupal's front end, and that's where Pusher User comes into play. So Pusher User is a separate module that relies on the Pusher API, and it piggybacks off the JavaScript connection that was established in Pusher's API. And what Pusher User will do is it will automatically subscribe every logged in user to a private channel based on their user ID. This allows them to receive real-time data or real-time events that's published by the server. So an example I like to use would be, say you've got a functionality in the backend where you send an email, but that email needs to contain a bunch of data. So to process that data, you put it in a queue, you fire and forget, and the user moves on with their life. Well, in that instance, the user has no way of knowing when that queue process is done, and without refreshing the page, they wouldn't be able to get any updates on what's happening. That's where Pusher comes into play. You can dispatch an event once you're finished processing and once you've sent your email. That event will go off into the sky, and and Pusher User will be listening on the channel that you've published that event to, or its own private channel for that user, and then you're able to respond to that event in any way that you see fit. So Pusher User will listen to those events and it will dispatch a JavaScript event. That JavaScript event can be subscribed to in any JavaScript script. And yeah, what better way to better articulate this than to show you. So I've built a demo module called Pusher Demo. Haven't actually published it anywhere, so if anyone wants to play with it or make it better, then let me know and I'll chuck it on GitHub or Drupal.org. Yeah, so what it's doing, over on the left, we have a really standard Drupal admin form. This, in its submit handler, will fire off an event that's provided by the Pusher API. This is firing it off to the user one private channel, which on the right-hand side, we have a bog standard installation of Drupal with the Pusher user module installed. This is listening on the user one channel because I'm logged in as user one. And what happens when I fire off this event? Well, we get some celebrations, we get some confetti, and we get a little toast pop up. This is just an example of what can be achieved with using the Pusher API or the Pusher framework, and really the possibilities are endless. So I'll leave it up to you to do the cool stuff. I'll just provide the functionality to do so. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, whatever platform you're on. If you're not on YouTube or watching this on YouTube, then head over to YouTube channel, subscribe, and let me know what you think. I'll leave the issue queues for both projects in the description. If you've got some time or you've got some bug reports or feature requests, head over there, either raise a pull request or just raise an issue, and I'll try and get to them. Yeah, interested to know what people's thoughts are on this, whether you think it's useful, whether you think it's not useful, whether you just rather go full decoupled or not. I'm interested, or whether you just rather sort of roll your own JavaScript integration. Yeah, let me know, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.